So, as I asked on Twitter and YouTube, I was wondering what I should do for this new trailer, and well, for some reason, some of you think I'm somewhat competent enough to analyze a trailer even after my 2 horrible other analyses. But still, I am not promising some Sora alum or game theorist type in-depth looks, but I will make it as informational and interesting as possible. Even though there are already like 50 of these up, and it's been like 6 or 7 days since the trailer dropped. So I gotta do something to get y'all to stay around. So if you stay through the whole video, you get a brand new, your personal own Keyblade. Not really, because I only have one, and I'm not giving that away. But still, I'm getting off track. Let's get into my in-depth look at Kingdom Hearts 2.8 trailer from Tokyo Game Show. Well, to start off, we will notice that there is a new remix of Simply Clean that is playing, and this really helps the start of the trailer and helps the momentum for the rest of the trailer, which you can really tell compared to all the other 2.8 trailers. This one is much faster and builds some momentum from the start, while the others were decently slow paced and had sections of heavy dialogue and then heavy sections of combat, which is fine, but I feel like their pacing could have been better. But the start here with the song in this cinematic draws you in and gets you hyped right off the bat. And just for comparison, let's look at the first 10 seconds of this trailer compared to that of the E3 trailer back in E3.
Complete this task and return here safely, and I will name you both True Masters.
See, there's a decent difference between the two, which I prefer the former, but hey, also, this trailer is composed much differently than the previous, to which each game or part of 2.8 had their own sections in the other trailers, but in this trailer, it is split much differently. While they have a section for 0.2 and back cover, they are more split back and forth, jumping from one to the other a few times, and this helps to keep a more consistent pace with the action and then some dialogue, while the Dream Drop Distance has one section which, I mean, are you really here for the Dream Drop Distance HD collection? I doubt it, but I mean, come on, it does help to connect the rest of the trailer. But for the beginning visuals, we can tell from the start that this is a cinematic, not the actual gameplay, even though I wish it was. It's so pretty, but it's not. And it's most likely going to be the opening cinematic for 0.2, and graphically, like I said, it looks beautiful. And having Sora, Riku, and Kairi as their kid forms makes it just so cute and takes the characters in their most innocent form and draws us in because of how cute they are and because we very rarely see them as their kid forms, and when they are in this form, they are usually in very important scenes, from seeing with Terra, Aqua, and also the end of Birth by Sleep. And doing this can help grab one's attention. But it quickly cuts to Sora reaching for Aqua as she is under the water, something that Kingdom Hearts loves to do. And then Aqua, as understandably, looks kind of sad as she is gripping her Wayfinder. And then she falls very similar to that of many other times that we've seen in other cinematics in the series, where Roxas and Sora fall, and also Aqua in her own cinematic in Birth by Sleep. But in that one, she is falling toward Ventus's heart. And now she is falling towards Sora's, who is quickly cut from a minute ago. You may ask, why is she falling towards Sora? Because it's damn deep, and Kingdom Hearts is full of deep questions. Okay? We're not sure of meaning. I'm just kidding. It's because the connection Sora has with Ventus, and Ventus's heart's taking safe haven inside of Sora's, which draws the parallel between the two cinematics, as it is Ventus's heart that she is searching for. After the scene, the screen grows bright as Aqua sees Sora's heart, which the bright light could be Ventus's heart waking up, or it could just be a cool transition, who the hell knows. But it just cuts to a slur of images that show each aspect of 2.8, and in 0.2 in back cover we can see a few interesting things. But as for Dream Drop Distance HD, though, other than new graphics that we've seen a ton of before and a few scenes that we've also seen a ton of before, nothing really special is shown. As for 0.2, we get glimpses of a few things that we will see later in the trailer. The first scenes showed things we've seen before. Riku, Kairi, and that wide-eyed Mickey looks like he's having flashbacks to the Realm of Darkness, and they honestly all do look decently better than we saw back in 2015. Much more detailed, lighting looks better, and overall just looks much better. Next, we get a look at Aqua in Cinderella's castle, Aqua hitting those gears that we see in the demo and E3 trailer, and a clock tower stairs to Cinderella's castle, and then a quick glimpse at Ventus, who we will see more clearly later in the trailer, and he seems to be sleeping in a casket that Snow White was in. And while this is most likely a memory or a dream, like Terra was, it might be something else, but I'll go into that more in a minute. But next, we get a look at a hallway that looks like, again, in Snow White, but we see Aqua actually looking into a mirror that is reflecting the hallway behind her, but we will see, again, more of that later. Then we are at a back cover, which starts out with Ira talking to the Master of Masters again, then a few scenes you might know if you played Kingdom Hearts Unchained Key. A scene where many players are fighting a Darkseid, in which, holy shit, you only need maybe one person to fight Darkseid in any of the games, except for maybe higher level ones in Key, but this is extremely unfair for the Darkseid. Then a scene where the foretellers are most likely talking to the Master of Masters, also seen in the game. Then a look at a Chirthy in a test tube, which most likely the Master of Masters behind it, who is the creator of them, so that makes sense. Then Ephemera talking to Everett, also seen in the game in the E3 trailer. Then Envy and Iris talking, also seen in the E3 trailer. Then Luxu, most likely holding, as we know it, as Xehanort's Keyblade. And if you don't know this, who Luxu is, or that he has this Keyblade, then I will most likely have already put spoilers at the beginning of the video, so then it's your fault if you just got spoiled. But interesting enough, with this scene, it looks like almost a dusty place that he is standing in which in Daybreak Town we never seen a place like this. You could say Agrabah, but that kind of seems like a random place for him to be. So I'm gonna guess most likely it is the Keyblade Graveyard, which this scene here is most likely very important, but this video isn't a place for theories right now, so maybe later. But next we see Envy talking to either the Master of Masters or Luxu. You can't tell because their zippers on their coats are actually the same in back cover, unlike in the game where they are different, which this scene most likely happens before they both disappear. Then lastly we have Ava running in, Ace and Envy fighting, as we've seen before in the E3 trailer. It then moves back to the cinematic, which has the best and most vibrant use of colors so far, as the Wayfinder falls from the sky and being a vibrant blue that stands out from the shadowed and detailed grass in the back. We then see Ventus and Terra join in with their Wayfinders too, in which they both fall into water that make ripples in the water, and also what happens to them, it makes ripples in the story, as Aqua reaches to save them as their Wayfinder fall and spins. It also shows it zoom out from Terra's Wayfinder to show a being or a form go into the seats of the 13 vessels, or the Organization 13, that you can see the organization emblem if you pause at certain points on the chair when zooming out. And this obviously represents Terra being one of the vessels, and it also shows Ventus's Wayfinder doing the same as his. So this could be saying or foreshadowing that either Vanitas or Ventus/Vanitas is one of the 13 vessels, to which would be really no surprise, and I could have guessed that. And then we see Aqua run toward Terranort and Ventus and Vanitas, to which Aqua is expecting to be Terra and Ventus, yet they turn and attack her, turning the area around them into the Keyblade Graveyard. And this is where Terra and Ventus became these new beings. And this whole segment is quick and well-made rendition of what happened in Birth by Sleep. The beginning of the three being together, Ventus and Terra running off as Aqua tries to chase after them, and then the organization's plan starting and then getting in the way of Aqua and her friends, which then lead to the creation of Ventus Vanitas and Terranort. And this is a smooth and quick storytelling which we see a lot through these opening cinematics, and is done amazingly in this short section. And then at the end uses the attack from the two as the drop for the music, which goes into a, well, less important part of the trailer, because I don't hate Dream Drop Distance, but because at this point not much was really changed or shown that would give us much reason to care at this point in the trailer, other than the fact there is one decent change. The drop gauge seems to be gone, which is a big change if that is actually gone, or if the UI isn't actually completed at this point, so it could be nothing. And for me, I'm not a huge fan of the system, so if it's gone, it's not a huge deal. Nonetheless, it looks nice from what we see, but not much to comment on. After the Dream Drop Distance HD section, we see some more of 0.2 with Aqua running toward the casket that has a Ventus inside. And like I said, while he's most likely not there, this could be one of two things. Her subconscious knowing that Ventus is asleep, and also a memory of him sleeping way back when at the land of departure, and it just places Ventus in a place in which someone else also slept and technically died for a short period of time. Or this could be a long shot being connected to Ki, in which Ventus is said to be connected to Ki in some way, and Snow White is in a world in that game, and the two could connect in some way, but why would this be showing up to Aqua is the question if it is part of Ki. Nonetheless, rip Ventus. Oh, and it's good to note that the models will look a lot better. While we don't see Potato Face Terra, I assume he also looks much better. But yeah, shadowing and texturing look a lot better. While I can still see improvements that could be made, the good sign is each trailer and combat model designs are getting better each time we see a new trailer, which is great. Next, we go to the Magic Mirror, in which the Realm of Darkness, we know that Aqua is going to be facing things from her past and her future, and most likely when things come to fighting your inner past or your future, you will also have to fight yourself. In Wolf, she does come face to face with herself, and then literally fights herself. And here, the mirror starts talking shit.
Only your heart is hollow enough to be a demon's.
And Aqua ain't having that shit, and her resilient nature says, nah, bruh.
That's not true. My heart is strong. I'll prove it.
And here's where we start to jumping back and forth between 0.2 and back cover, and we start with the Master of Masters, who you can tell that it's him from his voice that we hear later on. But before we get into it more, the voice actors for back cover are honestly some of the best in the series has so far. I know we haven't heard much, but they are incredible from these two trailers, especially the Master, Assad, and Ava. And with it being a movie, they needed that. That's a big component of this. But here, we see the Master of Masters not sounding the most confident or just not caring about stopping the war, giving the reason that they can't stop the war because there's only 7 of them. But again, he doesn't sound like he cares that much to even try, which could play into my own little theory video I made. But Ira still wants to try to stop it, even if he doesn't.
Are you telling me that you think the world can be saved by just 7 people?
We have to at least try.
And this scene, like in the E3 trailer, shows that even though the Master of Masters supposedly disappeared, it shows that he might actually be a lot closer than they thought. And apparently Iranos might know where he is. Yet this could be a scene right before the Master of Masters disappears in the movie, so he might actually be gone for the rest of the movie. We can't really tell right now. But we then get a tad bit of information from Assad and Ava saying that forming pacts with the Union is forbidden because Assad wanted to form one with Ava and one other Union. I would assume Gula's the other Union, since in previous trailers and in the game, Assad didn't seem to like Envy and Ira that much, and also seen them fighting multiple times. And it's interesting that Ava would say that it's forbidden, since she basically is kind of being a little rebellious herself and forming her own group of Keyblade wielders. While that might not be against the rules, still shows a rebellious side that she doesn't really care. But hey, whatever. But this shows that Ava, Gula most likely, and Assad have a closer relationship compared to them with Ira and Envy. And Gula says in the next scene that he has to stay alone or stay to himself, which could be why Assad kind of gets mad at him in the E3 trailer and kind of knocks him out, because Gula denies Assad from working together. We then quickly hear Envy say, which will lead to the Keyblade War, right after Gula basically said that I need to stay alone and by myself, which could be insinuating that a person that stays alone and tries to break away from everybody else is the reason that the Keyblade War would happen, or if everyone just separates from each other, the Keyblade War will happen.
Trust no one but myself.
Which will lead to the Keyblade War.
Then again, jump back to 0.2 where we get to see some gameplay where we see Aqua surfing again. I have a feeling this is how we will enter each area of the world, and it looks like it is the mines from Snow White with jewels on the wall, and again, it looks really nice. Also, we can see that the MP and HP bar is much smaller here, which could mean that this is much earlier in the game. And the gameplay we were shown before for E3 was the demo version with the HP and MP basically maxed out. I'm not going to say that this is the very first world that we go into. I'm going to guess that Cinderella's is just facts that I'm going to talk about later on in the video. But then we go into Aqua using some more magic, and magic level is still the same, so I'm going to assume at this point we get all the maxed out magic from the beginning, as we see Blizzaga, Fireaga, and Thundaga, and also Curaga's there too. And then enemies seem to be the Heartless that we saw at Mount Olympus in Kingdom Hearts 3, just a normal darker version, or very similar to them. It also shows the next level UI and also the experience UI that pops up after you defeat an enemy that wasn't really shown, I don't believe, in the E3 trailer. Then in the boss battle for the Snow White area, seems like we will be fighting, well, yourself, and she is going to be able to make multiples of herself and shoot little beams at you. We then see a Reflect is back again, which we saw in the other trailer, but we get to see a little more here. This next clip, we get a real sense and the change that has come to the combat between trailers and maybe Kingdom Hearts 3. It looks a lot faster than it did before. While before it looked good and fluid, this now looks much faster and little hesitation to each hit, which I like a lot. Also, we get a cool little footprint effect on the ground. I know, quality analysis right there. Oof. Oh yeah, I almost forgot to mention that the MP charge is back, which I honestly assumed because it being the same MP bar as Kingdom Hearts 2, it's most likely gonna stay that way. Now we cut to the coolest looking room so far to me, which is just a ton of columns with reflections infinitely up and down. And I would like to say that this is probably still Snow White, and she is just in the magic mirror, just by the fact that the mirrors in boss battles and Birth by Sleep was able to create replicas of itself, so why not create replicas of a room, or a room in general with replicas in it? And in this area, you seem to have to traverse the world by finding these glowing pillars that will then flip the world upside down, which could get a little tricky, or trippy, but also it's pretty cool. And this could work the same as when finding the gears, when you have to find a certain amount before you can move on, but there doesn't seem to be a counter, so I'm not 100% about that part. Nonetheless, you can see that to get certain things like chests, you will have to flip the world to get them, and what the hell is this person doing running away from the chest? I'm gonna guess they might not have put in anything in that chest yet since he ran away from it. Or they didn't feel like it would be good pacing for the trailer if he stopped and got the chest, but still. We then get a quick cut back to back cover where, again, Assad is bullying Gula. I think Assad is obviously the bully at school in this relationship, as Gula is the little kid who has to give him his lunch money. But yeah, Assad says that they don't know who the traitor is yet, which really just shows that I doubt he is the traitor, because he really seems like that he's distinctly worried about finding the trailer, and he's that bully who is more pushed to be a dick because he's scared. That's how I see Assad as a character. Then moving to Ava telling Envy how it is, and that everything that they are doing could be making things worse, most likely talking about the bickering fighting between the 5 unions and accusations being made, which might be causing a lot of the darkness to spread that they thought they were getting rid of. And then we cut to the two-headed characters, one of which we have never seen in these trailers yet. The one sitting down, being the master, is telling the other one who is holding the Keyblade that we know is Xehanort's Keyblade that he is on his own. And this other character, if it's not obvious already, he is the missing and 6th apprentice. And here, the Master is giving him his own mission that he must do alone. And while it doesn't distinctly say what it is here, in the game key, the goal is for the 6th apprentice, or as we know him, Luxu, is to continue the Master's will. And in this scene, I found it strange that he is holding the Keyblade, because he's not holding it in an aggressive manner. He's more holding it in a manner like he was just handed the blade, like the Master gave it to him. And this blade being the oldest in existence, it would make sense that it was the Master's Keyblade, since, well, he is older than the apprentices. We also, again, that could go into some theories, but we also get a line from Luxu that shows that he seems to care for what is happening to the other apprentices.
What about the others?
Which seems strange here because of how cold he acts in the end of Key. Whether this character ultimately changes to the end of Key, or maybe something else happens. Seems like something may have had a big impact on Luxu to change him as a person. Also, again, in this scene, the coats, the lighting, the textures have all gotten so much better. I mean, it looked amazing before, but the coats look much better now, and I'm really impressed in seeing this scene. Finally, we have a scene with Aqua falling as she's going into darkness, and as she is about to be consumed, but Mickey appears to save her, in his Chain of Memories outfit from what we can tell, so most likely this is happening at that point in time, right before he enters Chain of Memories. And the question is, where is this cutscene in 0.2? To me, I would guess the beginning, being the place where Mickey shows up and gives you that will to fight on, and as you come back to fight, you and Mickey get separated, and that is why Mickey doesn't take her with him as he gets out. But another and much better plausible and factual reason is that this is the area Aqua fights in at the beginning of her trip in the Realm of Darkness in Birth by Sleep. So it would make the most sense that this clip with Mickey and her is at the beginning. And also the reason I think Cinderella is probably the first world is because at the end of this section in Birth by Sleep, you see Cinderella's castle. So it would make the most sense for that transition. Also, this is an area that we've seen before too in the trailers. As she is falling, we are able to see those vein rocks that we could see in some of the first teaser clips for the game. Then we move to the last clip, and at first glance just may look like a random area with a shit ton of dark sides creating their own sun, but if you pause before painting up, you can see the briar patches and also a castle in the background, which matches that of Maleficent's castle. And if it's not obvious yet, the worlds in this game will most likely all be princess worlds that we go through in Birth by Sleep, which will then total in a guess of 3 worlds for Disney, but I'll also throw in maybe one beginning area, probably an area similar to that the first place that we find in the Realm of Darkness, like I said a minute ago, with Aqua and Birth by Sleep, and then a final area in the game being, I would guess, maybe a collaboration of many of Aqua's memories. I would say Radiant Garden, the Land of Departure, and maybe the Keyblade Graveyard in some form or fashion. But it then ends with the dark sides making their sacrifice to the heartless sun god guy, and also this big orb kind of represents their attack they have in the games, and also the big orb that they create when absorbing worlds. So this could be replaying of maybe Sleeping Beauty's world getting destroyed and absorbed in darkness, or it's just the fact that she's in the Realm of Darkness and those dark sides do whatever the hell they want. But then it cuts to the logo and the date that sets everyone's computer ablaze. Oh my god, it's delayed!
In the arms of the angel, fly away.
And that is it for my analysis. And yeah, it's not the best. Hey, I warned you, damn it. But yeah, as my thoughts on the trailer, truthfully, with how fast and well-paced it was, with an amazing remix, better combat, and model improvements, I'd say it is my favorite trailer thus far. I just really like fast-paced trailer, and that remix is dope. Nonetheless, what do you all think of the trailer? Was it shit? Was it the best thing ever? Or are you just mad about the release date? But my name is the Arcane Keyblade, and I will see you all in the next video. Peace out!